you're not tired. You're tired.
No, who's tired? I'm not.
But, you know, the cool thing about being tired, Kelly, that means that you get to go to sleep. And then when you go to sleep, that means you get to have dreams.
That was a flawless segue by Holly. I used to think your name was Zajwar. Did you know that?
No, I love that. Like a jaguar?
Yeah, actually. Holly Zajwar. Excellent segue.
Thank you.
Because we talked with baby angel, love of our life, Jordan Hale, for Dreams Part 2 on this episode.
Yeah, the end of the last episode, you got to hear our like jaw-dropped, life-altering moment when we learned about dreams in twins. So we got to like follow up with Jordan on that today. And we also, honestly, we talked so much about like grief and loss and like relationships, like breakups, new relationships, all of the above in the world of dreams, which is, I don't know, something that's played out for me a lot in my life. So I was so excited to have this conversation.
Yes. We talked a lot about grief. We talked a lot about like endings of relationships and healing through trauma and things like that. But there was just also like we laughed so much.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I'm just going to go ahead and say I feel like there will absolutely be a part 3 at some point.
Oh, yeah. We're not done with Jordan.
No.
We need Jordan forever and always.
Yeah. Jordan, if you're listening, you're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
And that's a threat and a promise.
We put a spell on you, and now you're ours. We hope you love this Dreams Part 2 episode.
Dreams Part 2 with Holly and Kelly and Jordan, where we talk about deep stuff and nice stuff too.
Yeah.
Nailed it.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to How the Wise One Grows, where we get curious and explore the things that help us grow. And we are back with Jordan Hale today to talk more about dreams and how they help us heal and grow. And we had Jordan for part 1. And actually, I just like have to name the dates of this. We recorded part 1 on Halloween, and we are recording part 2 on Friday the 13th.
Wait.
Right?
I did not even. Oh my god.
I was like
didn't put that
secretly
together.
hoping you were going to
makes me
pick
happy.
this date. Because I was like, it just feels right.
I unconsciously chose it because it was spooky.
You did.
Yes.
We're spooky bitches, this
really are.
trio.
Spooky bitches. Jordan, when we were last talking, the like jaw-dropping moment that left Kelly and I like awestruck was when you talked about, we asked like if twins can have the same dreams. The answer was yes. Lost our shit.
And then we were like, bye, gotta go.
Bye.
You're like, excuse me.
Yeah, please tell me more.
Please
do.
But actually, since then, well, I listened to your episode
Nice.
with the twins who had that dream experience, and that's going to be linked in the show notes. People should
Yay.
totally listen to it. But I wanted to relate it to this like reoccurring dream I've had since my grandfather died, that my sister has had the similar theme. Which I thought it was like, it reminded me a lot of that dream episode with the twins. And I was like, whoa, sister and I are having a little bit of that happen.
Yeah.
Wow.
So ever since my grandfather died, I've had this like reoccurring dream where the situations and circumstances change, but the like underlying theme is the same. Like it's the same. The concept is that like, all of a sudden my grandpa's alive again, and everyone's just like, you came back from the dead, hey, like so good to hang out again and see you. And we like know that you're dead, but now you're alive and you're gonna die again, and it's like fine.
Exactly.
Yes, and I find it so interesting, and I've had it multiple times ever since he died. And my sister said she had a dream with that same theme too, which I find really interesting. And then when my grandmother died, this is for me, like I'm thinking about how dreams relate to death with these two a lot lately, is my grandmother died, and she was like very much spiritual, really the person who like brought in spirituality into my life and like the way I connect to it presently. And the only dreams I've had with her, and they've been two very intense ones. One was I was on my first silent meditation retreat, and I was asleep that night, the first night there. And in my dream, there was this like swirling evil, it was an evil energy, like an evil spirit that was coming to get me. And it was like getting closer. It was like filling the room I was in my dream. It was like coming to me. And then I hear my grandmother's voice as clear as day say, "I am Barbara Jackson Samuels and you leave her alone." And then poof, it went away and I woke up.
I just
and
got
I was
chills.
Same.
I was like, yes. Grandma, like serious guardian angel, like protector.
Yeah.
Powerful,
Then,
powerful.
On Samhain and Dia de los Muertos, I had done, like, I lit my altar, had the candles lit, had the rituals going, doing all the things, and I always go to bed earlier. I told my husband, Will, like, you're supposed to leave the candle lit all night, and all the time, really, for Dia de los Muertos, but I was like, Will, turn off, like, blow out the candle when you come to bed. And in my dreams that night, and just like it's almost no longer a dream, it's like I'm feeling the energy around me, like I just felt energy kind of swirling in the room again. It felt a little bit like maybe a not positive spirit coming, and again my grandmother like appeared and like stopped the energy, and I woke up and I was like, Will, did you blow out the candles? And he was like, no. And it just really felt to me like there were spirits like coming during that time of year. And again, like my grandmother was this protector. And then to like relate it back to that dream with my grandfather, this is just like something I started really thinking about after we recorded.
Yeah.
Was like my grandfather was always the more practical, like keep everyone safe, logistic. My grandma was a little more like spiritual, a little more woo. And I almost feel like in the afterlife, like she was so ready and she has like fully passed on to the spirit world. And like that's how she shows up when I connect with her in dreams. And I almost feel like my grandfather has been like staying in this in between where he's like, I'm gonna tend to you all until I know everyone's like taken care of and we're all together again. And like I almost feel like he hasn't fully transitioned because he's still like caring for all of us. So I just was getting really curious about how dreams are like relating to grief for me, and healing with like death and what that might mean in our connection with the spirit world.
Yeah. That's so beautiful, Holly. Oh my gosh. I'm extremely moved by what you're sharing. Like I've had my own versions of what I call visitation dreams from loved ones. And I use that language because it does feel like there's an encounter that's taking place in those moments. And especially when I've heard other people describe their own versions of visitation dreams, there's often this sense of I'm having this encounter in order to move through a certain part of my processing of this grief that I'm experiencing. And so sometimes early on after someone has passed, the themes can be very kind of literal and concrete, like you are no longer alive. And in this moment, you are here and we're interacting. Like it's like this reiteration of the processing and what I know to be true. And then later on, and or like you are positing, possibly as people move through their versions of going through the spirit realm on the other side, then the dreams can get a little bit more abstract and a little bit more, spiritual. And I think that that's just miraculous and remarkable. And I think it's such a gift that we can, oftentimes when we have visitation dreams, they're very vivid. And so we wake up and we can really hold on to them, which I also think is by design. But I really feel like it's like a key form of processing that we're doing. And it has to happen in dreams and in the subconscious. That's the most like potent, powerful way to hold those experiences and those feelings. So I've heard lots of different stories that echo what you're sharing. And each one is like so precious and special and unique to the people that you're talking about. Like the way that you experience your grandmother versus your grandfather, like it's just so beautiful. So I love it. It's amazing.
I love that too, because also, correct me if I'm wrong, but Holly, last time we talked about dreams and stuff, were you saying that you don't, it's not as visual as it is like a felt, like sensory experience? So that's interesting that it's like there's kind of this like narrative with your grandpa that's like like logistical, and then with your grandma you're like there's a feeling, like there's like a swirling energy kind of thing. That's so beautiful. I feel like I think we talked about this a little bit, but it's one of those things where, you know, like when you're like single and you're wanting to meet someone and people go, oh, don't worry, you'll find them right when you least expect it. Or like right when you stop looking and you're like, I want to die. Like, thank you. That's the word. Yeah, literally. So you're like, great, thanks. I'll just stop looking. Like, I'll stop just wanting them.
Okay.
But great, thanks. That's so helpful. But I feel like it's the same thing where I, like, after my grandmother passed, I was like, okay, like I really want a visitation dream. And then it's totally that thing where I was like, it almost felt like going to bed on Christmas Eve as a kid, where I was like, ooh, like I really hope tonight's the night. Like this is going to happen. And then of course I would wake up, and running theme with me in dreams, I would wake up and feel like angry or like, what the hell? Because I was like, I didn't dream anything, or is it possible that I did have like a really meaningful, important dream and I like am waking up and I can't remember it, and it's just like a waste. And then of course, you know, as you're talking with other people, like, you know, it was obviously not just my grandma. I have two sisters and then my parents, and like I would like wake up and be in my own kind of like bummed place of like, oh, I'm still not really getting anything from her. And then like come downstairs and my sister's like, I had the craziest dream about mom last night. And I'm like, what the hell?
You're like, hey.
And I'm like, how come you get it? Like, but it's so, I don't know. I love the idea that is kind of something where it's like, it is really attached to how you're processing a loss and the grief and the phase of it that you're in. Because you can't rush that stuff at all. That's really annoying, but
and I have to imagine that, because a personal belief of mine is that there is consciousness on the other side, and I have to believe that consciousness has a sense of knowing in terms of like for whom a dream experience is really useful at a certain given time. Versus for others, there may be other ways that they're connecting and making their presence known and felt that may be just more appropriate for some reason that we don't understand. I don't know. That's just my little 2 cents. Because I feel the same way, actually, Kelly. I wish, like, my grandmother who passed, her name was Julie. She passed in 2022, and we were extremely close. And I have wished and wished for like a solid visitation dream from her. Like she's been in dreams of mine before, but in a very like, I'm just kind of hanging back here. Like I'm just keeping an eye on what's going on, but less of that like strong encounter. But I have encountered her in other ways. We have signs that I see in the world that let me know that she's present. One of our signs is a ladybug. I have all kinds of crazy ladybug like moments and stories. But yeah, I have wished for like a strong visitation dream from her. And I have to believe that it's not the moment for that right now. Or there's other ways we're connecting right now. Or even there's other ways that she is choosing to like show up. And kind of hone her skills of like connection, you know? Anyway,
I love that.
I think that's a very cool like surrender that we have to give to the dream world too. There's like, I was talking to a friend about this last night, actually. Her grandfather isn't doing well. And she was like hoping for him to make it to her wedding, but also like, you know, but I trust that like Mother Nature knows the timing when is right. And we were talking about how like, you can have, it's really good to have a wish for something, but then also trust and surrender to something deeper.
Yep.
And I feel like dreams give us a deep space to explore that. Like we can wish to have these dreams or these like lucid dreams and these experiences in really profound ways, but it is a surrender at the same time. And you're like, you know, you can have that intention going into it, but then it's up to something greater to see what unfolds in that space.
Yes, it's a co-creative process. I feel that way about like magic and manifestation in general. Like this is not me like exerting my will. This is me like offering a possibility and then having, you know, the universe, spirit, whatever, like meet me in that place where we co-create something. It might not be what I imagined. It might be something else.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is. That's always been something that resonates with me so hard. You like specifically said the word surrender, Holly, and I think that's so key, is like having this, like, I am someone that is spiritual. I was raised in a Christian church, and like there are certain things that I was like, that doesn't really land for me. It never really has. But like I also was never someone that was going to be totally like atheist and be like, everything is like, we make the world what it is. Like there's always been something else for me. I just haven't quite like, you know, I don't know. I'm like, it's just out there and it's mysterious. But you can, like you were saying, Jordan, like you can work with it and you can be like, this is what I want for my life. These are the steps I'm taking. And then also being open to be like, show me if there's a better way.
Yeah.
And I know that there are people who hear stuff like that and it makes them freak out because they're like, there's so much that we don't understand and we have to understand it. And I'm kind of like, I don't know. I love that. I'm like, yeah, who am I to try and control everything? Like, I don't know what's going on out there. Like, you know?
Yes. I agree, Kelly. As a survivor of religious trauma, I am now so comforted by like the mystery and like the not having to have it all figured out is just like a balm for my soul.
Yeah.
More and more people have conversations about like, what do you think it's like? And I've kind of gotten to the point where like, I'm not trying to figure it out. You know, I just don't think I can in this life. I don't think that's the goal or the work of this life. I think I'm just supposed to be here now. And it's something that my mind can't understand. So,
and that's okay.
I'm open to the mystery. Yeah.
Yeah. Because also I'm like, how boring would life be if you knew everything? Also, how overwhelming would it be if you knew everything?
Yeah.
But like, I just feel like there's so much that I'm like, you know what? Literally anything could happen, and I could be. It's possible that as of later today, I could think back to our conversation and be like, wow, you had no idea what was coming in 2 hours. You know, like it's just, I think it's so beautiful.
Hey, listeners, I just want to let you know that I love you, we love you, and thank you for listening. And we need your support to keep this podcast going. So you can support the podcast by joining the Dream Team for as little as $3 a month, following the podcast on your favorite streaming platform. Just hit that little follow button and leave a review, preferably a 5-star review, and share an episode you love with a friend. This is like talking to the podcast algorithm gods and helps more people find the pod. And it means the world to us and makes our dreams come true. So join the Dream Team, leave a review, follow the pod, and share an episode you love. And we will continue having these creative conversations with you.
Okay, this is a segue into something that, Jordan, you brought up last time.
Yes.
You said that you and your husband, and correct me if I'm wrong, maybe we're not married yet, or we're married.
No, we were not married yet. We were just dating.
When you had your like joint,
yes,
your dream visitations.
Yes,
That brought your daughter
so
in the
wild.
long run.
Yeah, my daughter who's here now, like close to 10 years later. Yeah.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize it was that long ago.
We
I
were
didn't
like
either.
Y'all, we were like pretty newly dating, which was why it was like kind of a vulnerable thing to like bring up.
Who brought it up first? How did that happen?
I was lucky in that I didn't have to get too vulnerable. My little Scorpio heart loves to guard herself.
Yeah.
But so he had gone on this, vision quest with his friends to go take mushrooms in the forest. And when he got back, he was the one who was telling me about his little visitation, I guess we could call it, probably. The way I would conceptualize it now is it was a little visitation from our daughter for him. And so he shared that he had that vision. And then I chimed in like, I had a dream about the exact same thing. So yeah, he went first.
Wow.
I feel like I would like it. Truly, I'm like, it would be game over for me if I were dating someone and I was like, I'm really into this person, and they're like, I had a dream that we had a daughter, and I saw her. I would be like, especially if I had the same dream, I would be like, well, like, what are we doing? Let's get going. Like, I'm like,
I completely. That is the way that moment landed for me, is that it helped me really like feel and trust that like there was something real here between us that we were building towards. I didn't see it as just like a funny coincidence. I really felt it as like a sign. And then, like here we are with our little baby.
Yeah. That's so
it's
beautiful.
Especially
because like early days, that's like that props to your husband. Because can you imagine being like, I had a dream, new person that I'm dating, that like you were there, and also we had a kid, and like the other person is just like, okay, like reaching for the door behind them. Like, I forgot I have a meeting now. I have to go.
Oh my God. I know, it's so true. That could have gone like very sideways, but I think we both felt it. Like, I think we both were like, okay, there's something we're supposed to be paying attention to here. I'm like flashing back to the exact place we were when we were having the conversation. We were at this fabulous restaurant in Los Angeles called Pache, where they have brown paper on the tables and you can color with crayons. Dream. And I remember I was like coloring with crayons while we were talking about it.
I love your love.
Literally. The imagery of like coloring on your like table at a restaurant, that's like such a fun, freeing, childlike, creative thing, and having this kind of like open channel with the person you're seeing where you're like feeling that comfortable and playful and whatever. I'm just like, that's what I want. Like,
yes.
I love that so much.
It does make me think too how like listening, we talked before about like how you feel your grandmother and different things in the world, but also how like listening to like the subtleties of our dreams can also be so important to like, you shared like how that like helped you see like, okay, there's really something in this relationship. I can maybe like let myself open up, let myself soften and deepen into this. And like, I feel like we're always looking for signs to help us make a choice or grow or do things in certain directions. And I think our dreams can be a space that we can really explore for that too. Of like, how can this guide me through what's next, or guide me with what's here, and help me call on some things that I might not have otherwise.
Yes. Well, because there's real wisdom that gets us outside of the kind of mental cobwebs of like our own anxiety and hangups and the things we just carry around all day, every day. In our dreams, I think we get to transcend some of that stuff. And there's this just like pure wisdom, pure sort of like calm knowing that we can access more, that just gives us the realness. It just gives us the unvarnished truth so often, I think.
We're talking a lot about dreams with like love, and like in that positive way. And I have to like flip the switch, because every breakup I have ever had, every person I have ever shared like an intimacy with, it lives on in my dream life. Like a lot of people who I haven't been able to have closure with, or like continued connection with in a way that I guess maybe part of me like wishes, like I feel those things like play out in my dream world and healing and like continuing and healing that relationship with them until it's like done. Like some people it's like, like there's one person I was like, I have not dreamed about that person and I don't know when, and that's amazing. And there's others where it's like we still play out in dream world in this really like healing, lovely way. And I think on some level it's just so curious to me that, and something I like welcome in, of like all things don't need to be said verbally on this plane. Like all relationships can play out in different ways, and for me it's healing to be able to like continue and find closure to relationships through dreams.
Absolutely. I'm like, I have the exact same situation where there's a former, I don't want to call him an ex because he was one of the kindest, most loving relationships I ever had in my life. It was my high school boyfriend. And I had several, really damaging experiences with like early kind of versions of like love and sex, like really harmful stuff had befallen me, unfortunately. And this relationship was so healing. Like it was so loving, kind, gentle. And it ended just for like, logistical reasons. We were high schoolers going off to different colleges, and just our paths were veering in different directions. And that relationship lives on in my dreams as well, and continues to sort of like progress and evolve. And it's so fascinating. And I actually reached out to him last year and just like sent him a very brief note, just letting him know that like, you were just like such a healing, positive force in my life. Like, I'm so grateful. And that was it. Like, that was all I needed to say. It was just like, I just need you to like know that.
Yes.
He wrote me back like a super sweet note and was like, oh my God, that's amazing. Thank you. But I do think it's kind of like what we were saying about grief. It's like these forms of love, I think, just never end. I think that they just continue, and the energy of that love doesn't ever go away. It just sort of like shape shifts and morphs alongside us for the rest of our lives. That's how I see it. And then, yes, like you said, on the flip side, I also have recurring figures in my dreams of relationships that were harmful. And the way that my dream self is learning to like speak differently towards those people and assert myself differently towards those people than I did in real life. And to sort of have those healing experiences of like showing up for myself differently in dreams than I did in reality. And so, yeah, it's just amazing. I just like, I think it's remarkable how knowledgeable and wise our subconscious really is. It's just, the more I hear about it, it just goes on and on and on. It's just amazing.
It's so wild. Also, speaking of your daughter's visitation dream with your husband when he was on shrooms, I am obsessed. I may have mentioned this last time, but I've been listening to How to Change Your Mind by Michael Pollan on audiobook.
Oh, it's so good.
So good.
I'm so obsessed. Like literally my entire family is now just like constantly like, oh my God, here she goes again. Cause I'm like, did you guys know this fact about
There's more.
I'm like, wait, oh my God, I did not know. But like it's so interesting because I'm like fascinated by like the use of psychedelics in kind of in like unlearning and like kind of rewiring things and facing trauma specifically.
Yes.
One thing that I thought was so interesting as I've been listening to this book is specifically they talk about a lot. Like basically, I think that at one point Michael Pollan was saying like everyone he interviewed who has either gone through a some sort of psychedelic trip or journey or has guided them, they always talk about how you will face something at least once that seems overwhelming, seems really dark. It might seem like a demon. It might seem like a wall that you're up against, and you have to surrender and you have to like ask it what it's trying to show you. And if you do that immediately, almost every time, the anxiety will melt away, you'll be fine. But like it's that fear of like I want to control this, and I don't want to look at this thing.
Yeah.
And as we talked about last time on our previous dreams episode,
yes, go back and
On
listen.
the last
Link in the show
episode.
notes.
We talked about like having that I had a dream surrounding my the person that I deal with a bunch of like PTSD dreams specifically, and that I had a dream where I like screamed at them and was like, this is over, you can't treat me this way, and I was like victorious and felt so euphoric, and then woke up and of course like it hadn't actually changed anything. But since then, and since our last episode, I continue to have dreams where this person is in it, and you know, they're not all victorious. Some of them are really just frustrating, and I'm like, I can't figure out what to do, but you're just still here. But I think that I have really been thinking a lot, especially because of our last episode and kind of in conjunction listening to How to Change Your Mind, where I've been like, you know what? No, this is an ongoing journey. And so no one dream needs to be like the destination where fix this. It's just more of
unfolding.
Yes. So it's like, okay, let's see where this one takes me until and Jordan, you pointed this out last time, like a lot of dreams you wake up and you're like, that wasn't even nearly finished. Like I was in the middle of this thing that was happening and then I woke up. And it was like, I've had that, but I did have a dream like recently since our last episode where I literally was in this like bizarre kind of like cubicle library type room. And I saw that this person was there, and I like, it was one of those things where every time I would just catch sight of them, they would like look towards me and I would like duck around a corner. Sorry, I hit my microphone. I'm like, but
you
I
were
was
in
like,
action.
I know. I was like frantically, like I was like, oh, I can't be seen by them. Like they can't know I'm here. I'm not ready to deal with that. And so I was literally running away and like hiding. And at one point in the dream, I was literally in this space where there was nowhere to go, and they had walked into the room and it was only the two of us in the room. So I was literally like pressed up against the wall, like up against, just being like, if they turn on the light, they're going to see me, and there's nothing I can't go anywhere. And I was trying so hard not to be seen. And I literally in my dream thought like, you have to surrender. What is it trying to show you? Like, and I literally, it felt like the longest thing in the world, but I literally was looking down, like pressed up against the wall. And I like so slowly brought my eyes up and met their eyes. And it was just this moment. And the crazy thing is, it's not like I'm here now being like, and that was it. There was this resolution, but it was just a moment of like, oh, that was a lot. I have not met their eyes in a long time. I have not looked at them. I have not looked at the situation directly. And that felt
That's
so important.
It's a huge step.
Yeah. And I don't know. It was just this kind of like,
Kelly.
It's crazy.
And that's also, Kelly, I mean, there's some lucidity in what you're describing, right?
Yeah.
Where like you were able to use those skills of like blending the conscious with the subconscious to like bring in a bit of an intention to a dream that I've been working on, right? Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's like taking it to the next level.
Oh,
Yes, queen.
Dream warrior.
Yes.
I'm so honored. I feel so excited because it's so, like also
You
speaking
should.
of lucidity. Last time we were talking about that, and I was like, I'm so scared to actively try because it feels somehow like I will be manipulating what the dream world is trying to show me if I am fully in control of it. But also it's interesting, like having the conversation we've had about like, but what if you can never be fully in control of it because it is the dream world? So
Exactly.
like, you can try to bring it. Let's see what happens if I do this. Let's see what happens if I make eye contact with this person. Let's see what happens if, you know, and that's just, I feel like that was such a gift. And I feel like I just feel genuinely so much gratitude for you both, because I really felt like that was something that I was like listening to this book and actively thinking a lot about my subconscious and what's going on and like going to therapy and talking about the situation,
Yes.
and then having this conversation where we're like having fun, and also we're like, so how do I heal myself with my
Talk
dreams?
about the deepest, darkest, most intense ways to heal. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just like that felt like something that I was like, oh my God, I can't wait. I feel really proud that I like had this moment of like, I looked at them in the face instead of running away, and that was all I needed to do, and we'll see what happens next time. But it's like on this episode of Dreams.
I
love
want to
it.
say
I'm so happy.
how so happy and like so proud I am of you for like that work that happened in the dream, but also just looking at like all the work you've done outside of the dream to get to that, like the therapy, the listening to other resources, to having these really like deep, vulnerable and playful conversations. And like weaving all of those elements and letting dreams be a space where you can integrate some of those ways in a space that feels safe and supported in that moment.
That's right.
Like, good work.
Thank you.
Yeah, great work. Those are seriously my favorite kinds of stories to hear, is that like, wow, as I've started paying attention to the dream world, my subconscious, this very clear form of healing has started unfolding in my life. That just makes me incredibly happy. That's why I do the work that I do. And that's why I'm so glad you guys invited me to be here with you, because you guys are dream warriors. You're doing the work too. And it's so beautiful. It's fabulous.
Thanks for being our dream guide warrior.
Literally.
What is like,
I don't know
what
about
is
that.
the lead warrior called?
Whew, I don't know about that, but man, I'm just right here with you guys. Yeah, the captain.
He's our dream captain.
Dream captain.
Dream captain.
Wait, I love that, dream captain.
Oh, dream captain.
That's like giving like capture the flag vibe. Like, we're all
yes,
out here in
summer
dream world,
camp.
just-
Yes.
Yes.
Oh my God. That's the first time I've ever been given any like slightly athletic title for anything in my life. I'm like the least athletic coordinated person in the world.
You are the most athletic dream person.
Yes.
There is.
There you have it.
The MVP.
Dream gymnastics.
The
Yes.
MVP.
Dream gymnast. Yep.
Okay, I do want to ask you a question that came to me when we were talking about it kind of started last episode. We were talking about your origin in going through the psychodynamic therapy training and like always having that passion for dreams. And I'm curious if you have experienced this, particularly in early days of you like getting into kind of like experimenting with how do I use my dreaming for healing and in this therapy practice. We talked about always looking for signs and kind of like utilizing like, oh, the dream showed me this and that means this thing or whatever. I'm curious on maybe a more lighthearted or maybe a serious note, if you have ever taken it too far. If you were like, if you ever went through a period of being like, it said this, so it has to mean that, so I have to do that. Like, because I feel like that's something I would 100% do.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah.
I certainly, I think this is also a pretty common theme for a lot of folks. I certainly went through a phase during the pandemic where I was coming into this more sort of spiritual way of being and of seeing the world. And I remember at the time, I was looking for signs like literally everywhere. And I could feel that, it was getting to be a little bit obsessive. Like one example I can think of right now is that I was having a lot of fun learning about my local bird population and like divination practices that involve birds. And so I remember at the time, like literally every time I would see a bird, I would like stop what I was doing, write down exactly like what it was, look it up. What does this mean? And eventually
I do the same thing with birds.
Eventually I was like, y'all, there are just a lot of crows in my neighborhood and they're molting their feathers in the summer and it's okay. It doesn't mean that every time I find a crow feather, there's like some special message for me. So it's funny because you have to hold the nuance, right? It's like sometimes a moment with a bird, you feel that synchronicity, you feel that meaningful coincidence, but not every single time. Okay. Like birds are just very common species. They're everywhere. So I like to meet in the middle. I like to stay open, but not get too obsessive with it, So I remember I was taking it a little too far back then.
It reminds me of what you said in our last episode too about how like, some dreams are just like processing the weird shit that happened that day. Like Kelly's like macaroni and cheese fire dream, you know, it's like, maybe that's not my deepest, darkest healing moment.
Bingo.
Maybe there's just mac and cheese on my mind.
You have to discern.
Which, like, always.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, constantly.
Who among us?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. No, I completely agree. Not every dream carries that real significance. And that's okay. Sometimes they're just silly and weird and random.
Oh, I love those dreams too.
Which is fun.
Like,
So good.
It's so fun. It's so fun to have like the kind of dream where you wake up and you're like just immediately in hysterics because I'm like, that was so weird. Like my brain is so weird. So Holly and my mutual friend Emma, who has been on the podcast before as well and will be again, she and I were roommates in Nashville for many, many, many years. And I feel like there were so many times where I would wake up and immediately like come down to the kitchen and be like, here's what just happened in my dream. And she would just be like, what is it like to live in your brain? Like that's
here's a little glimmer.
Yeah, literally. And I was like, oh, that was just a normal Tuesday night dream for me, but I guess we dream in very different ways.
Yes.
I love that so much. I've been like doing a lot of work with like creativity and like creative wellness, and it's really like the importance of play and all of that too. And like so often I think as artists, as people, we're always trying to like figure things out and have this deep meaning, but we like need space for that just like childlike play. And I think dreams can be a really profound place to just play and just let yourself see what's there and let that be an outlet for your creativity to like enliven and unfold.
Oh, I love that.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, the more I heal and the more I work towards like finding a more integrated, peaceful way to move through the world, the more I learn that I have to be able to let myself let go, play, enjoy myself. Like, I mean, that's been a huge part of my work in Al-Anon groups is like learning to enjoy myself and let myself take the time to do that. My God. Because so often you know, when you're extremely codependent, you walk around with the weight of the world on your shoulders all the time. You feel like it's always on you to be doing something meaningful and important and making a difference. And so it's funny because some of the most like profound lucid dreaming experiences I've had have been purely play, like pure enjoyment, pure like flying in a beautiful land across the sky and just like having the most joyful, playful time, or like swimming with dolphins and just like having the most Lisa Frank like moment, you know? And so that is healing. Like that is how we move forward. It's not frivolous. It's essential.
No. Yeah. Also, I think that goes really well hand in hand with like the I don't remember, of course, the actual like name for it, but like the different types of rest that we need, that we've like, you know, been so, I mean, as humans for so long, just been like, okay, you need this amount of sleep physically per night or whatever, but like not kind of getting that like, but you need social rest too. And you need like active rest where you're letting your mind, you know, all these different things. And I feel like it's, when you have like a good sleep, but you specifically have a dream where you've just been playful or relaxing, it's like a whole different level of recharged when I wake up the next morning. I'm like, oh man, like straight up, I was just like flying over the sea. Like, I'm good. Like, bring on work today. I can do it.
So true.
Well, we're coming up at time again, but I can't believe it.
I know, somehow. I know.
Jordan, we are far too obsessed with you, and just
I'm
thank
obsessed with you guys
so much for teaching us all about dreams and how they help us heal from like the hardest things like death and trauma to even just like the lightest, playful, creative healing moments. Thank you so much for the work that you do.
Big fans of the group.
Yes.
Right?
We love you so much.
Yeah, more of this in any way, shape, or form, please.
Agree.
Like, yes.
Hard agree.
Hard agree.
Planted. So that was our talk with Jordan. Our dreams part 2.
Our dreams part 2 with our dream guide angel. What did we call her? Our dream captain?
Our dream captain. Our dream captain.
Our dream captain, Jordan Hale, did it once again.
We love her. And we will certainly bring her back. So if you have more questions about dreams, send them in. We want to know. We want reasons to talk to Jordan again. So send us all the dream things, all the dream thoughts. We're ready to always dive into this with Jordan.
Yeah. What's your weirdest dream you've ever had? Do you have a dream that you're still trying to make sense of? Like, do you have a question that we probably also have that we didn't think of to ask Jordan? And we'll do it on part 3.
Yes, please. Send your dream questions in to us. You can even send your dream experiences to us as a voice memo. If you go to our website, howthewiseonegrows.com/voicemail, there will be a link in the show notes. You can leave us a sweet little voice memo of your dream questions. We want to hear it. We want to listen to it. You can also send us an email. I'll link that in the show notes as well. Or you can just send us a DM on Instagram at How the Wise One Grows. So do all the things. Let's hang. Let's talk dreams.
Yes.
And just a little teaser for the next episode we have coming out. Kelly and I talk all about your identity as a creative. Like, what is your creative identity? How do you work and move through life as a creative? So we also want to know your thoughts around that or any other topics you want us to cover. We're always an open door. Send us your thoughts. Send us what you want to talk about, hear about. I think even Spotify has a feature for you to like comment and leave stuff there. So if that's easiest for you, do it. And we'll look out for your love notes and create the coolest podcast with you.
Yay! Go team!
Yay!